Hello! In this video, I will show you how to embroider this adorable Valentine's couple in winter outfits. This embroidery design is intended for intermediate and advanced learners, as there are quite a few different stitches and techniques. However, beginners can also follow along. Just take your time with it. This pattern, as well as the color and transferring guide, will be available in my shop. The link will be in the description. Let's get started. First, I will use one strand of floss 310 and whipped back stitches to embroider the outlines of the girl's face and ears. I will use French knots for the eyes, making about 5 loops. I will also add an extra stitch to stitch down and secure the French knots. For the lips, I will use the fly stitch. Then I will continue using whipped back stitches for the girl's hand and legs. Let's do the same thing for the guy. Next, I will use 2 strands of floss 3833 for the blush. I will create straight stitches in a brick pattern, but you can replace them with satin stitches if you prefer. I will also use white floss to add shine to the couple's eyes. For the girl's hair, I will use 2 strands of brown floss 423. I will create freestyle straight stitches along the hair flow. Just use your intuition and have fun with the hair. For the girl's beanie, I will start with 6 strands of floss blanc and 1 row of split stitches. Then I will use 4 strands of floss 818 and embroider 2 rows of chain stitches on top of the white stitches. Next, I will switch to 4 strands of floss 677 and continue with another 2 rows of chain stitches. Lastly, I will use 4 strands of floss 598 and add 1 more row of chain stitches. For her dress, I will use 3 strands of floss 818. I will rotate between 4 rows of satin stitches and 2 rows of chain stitches to create a knitted look for the dress. Remember to embroider around her cardigan and heart-shaped pocket. For the bottom of the dress, I will add a line of ruffles using the same floss and cast-on stitches, creating 10 loops for each cast-on stitch. For her socks, I will start with 2 strands of floss blanc and create more ruffles with cast-on stitches, making 4 loops for each stitch. Then I will embroider the rest of the sock with satin stitches. Repeat for the other sock. Next, I will use 3 strands of floss 938 and satin stitches for her shoes. I'll also add shine to the shoes using 3 strands of floss blanc. For her heart pocket, I will use 4 strands of floss 321. I will embroider each half of the heart with satin stitches, joining them at the bottom center to create a V shape. Using 3 strands of floss blanc, I will fill in her cardigan with colonial knots. You can use French knots if that is easier for you. Now let's move on to the guy. I will use 2 strands of floss 738 for his hair, using the same freestyle straight stitch technique along the hair flow. For the beanie, I will start again with 6 strands of floss blanc and split stitches. Then, to fill in the rest of his beanie, I will use 4 strands of floss 598 and chain stitches. For the turtleneck of his sweater, I will use 3 strands of floss 598 and vertical satin stitches, then add 3 rows of chain stitches. Next, I will switch to 3 strands of floss 677 and continue with 2 rows of chain stitches. Then I will do the same with 3 strands of floss ecru, ECRU, adding 2 rows of chain stitches. I will embroider the bodice and the sleeve separately to help distinguish between the two. I will go back with floss 598 for the largest part of the sweater. Then switch to 677 and ecru, and finish with floss 598 once again. I will copy that same color pattern for the sleeve. For the wrist, I will use the same satin stitches I used for the turtleneck. For the trousers, I will use 2 strands of floss 3863 and satin stitches, embroidering the pockets, zipper, and the rest of the trousers separately. I will use 2 strands of floss 938 and back stitches to outline the pockets, zipper, and hems of the trousers. Then, with the same floss, I will fill in his shoes using satin stitches and finish by adding some accent details using floss blanc. Next, let's move on to the heart flowers. I will use 3 strands of red and pink floss colors 818, 321, 3832, and 3833, and fill in the hearts using the same satin stitch technique we used for the heart pocket. For the rose in her hand, I will use a colonial knot for the center, satin stitches for the bottom of the flower, and cast on stitches, about 3 loops each, for the petals. I will use 1 strand of floss 3363 and straight stitches to add the sepals, whipped back stitches for the stems, and fishbone stitches for the leaves. For the heart flower stems, I will use 2 strands of floss 3363 and whipped back stitches, and for the leaves, I will use satin stitches. Lastly, don't forget to add white pom-poms to the beanies, using floss blanc to stitch them down. And that will complete our Valentine's couple embroidery. I hope you will enjoy this tutorial video and embroidery design. Again, the link to the pattern as well as the colors list and pattern transferring instructions will be available in my Etsy store, and the link will be in the description. If you are new here and enjoy these types of videos, consider subscribing and turning on the notification bell. Comment below to let me know your thoughts. If you have questions, requests, or just want to say hi. Follow me on social media. Also, I'm accepting custom order requests, and the request form is linked in the description. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again soon.